Today we're going to be looking at Canadian mortgages and payments of Canadian mortgages. So the first thing to note is, what is a mortgage? So just as a reminder, a mortgage is a loan, and it's a special type of loan that you would use for a house. So a bank would typically lend you money, or a mortgage broker might hook you up with somebody else who would lend you money for your house. And what happens when you get a mortgage is that you have to pay interest. So you're lending money and you need to pay interest when you're paying that mortgage back. So what people do is they pay their mortgage back either weekly or bi-weekly or monthly. Mostly it's bi-weekly payments for your mortgage. And you can also choose how long you want to take to pay off that mortgage. So a couple things to think about, and we'll take a look at this table while we discuss this, is what interest rates are available. Okay, so your interest rate, it depends on the bank that you work with. It also depends on how things are going in the economy. It also depends on the term of the mortgage that you are signing up for. So if you are signing up for a fixed interest rate versus one that maybe fluctuates a little bit. So in general, these are interest rates, and there's lots of possibilities based on a bunch of factors. And then we take a look at amortization periods. And so that's how long it's going to take you to pay off that mortgage. So if you want to get really aggressive and pay it off in 10 years, okay, then that is an option. Most people, because it's a big debt, it's a lot of money to pay back, choose to pay it off over a longer period of time, so a longer amortization period. So we can calculate what our payments are going to be, our mortgage payments are going to be, using this table that I've shown you here. So what we're going to do is take a look at the table. We would choose our interest rate. So that's the first thing. So based on whatever interest rate we can get, and then we would choose our amortization period. Okay. And then we would find the intersection of those on this table. So for example, if I had a 1.75 interest rate and my amortization period was 20 years, okay, so I have that interest rate and 20 years amortization period, then I would take a look at this 4.938. So what we want to think about now is, well, what am I doing with that 4.938? At that intersection, that's our mortgage payment per month per $1,000 borrowed. Okay, so let's just take a quick look at an example for that. Okay, so for example, let's say I borrowed $500,000. So $500,000. I borrowed that, and at 1.75%, and a 20-year amortization period. Okay, I can calculate my payment, my monthly payment. Let me just move this down so I have a little bit more room, by first recognizing that this is for every 1,000 borrowed. So my first thing I would do is I would divide this by 1,000. Okay, so that leaves me with 500. So I would divide it by the 1,000 first. Okay, the next thing I would do is multiply it by this 4.938. So I'd have 500 times 4.938, and that gives me $2,469, and that would be my monthly mortgage payment. Okay, so that's my monthly mortgage payment. Okay, so again, I would take a look at my interest rate. Okay, so here's my interest rate. That's kind of hard to see. So I take a look at my interest rate, my amortization period. That gives me this, multiplier 4.938. So I take a look at how much I've borrowed, divide it by 1,000. I multiply it by that 4.938, and that gives me my monthly mortgage payment. Okay, let's do another example altogether. So in this example, we're going to use rates.ca to determine the best 5-year fixed mortgage rate in Ontario. When you're finding a fixed mortgage rate, 5 years, you can do 4 years, 3 years. You can look online, you can look at the bank that you work with. So last I checked here, 5-year fixed mortgage rate, I could So we're going to take a look at the additional costs of buying a home. So there are one-time costs and there are monthly costs when we go to purchase a house. And so let's start by taking a look at some of those one-time costs. So the first thing we've already talked about, and that's our down payment. And typically, you want to get at least 20 to 25% for your down payment. The next thing is the closing costs, which we estimate to be about 2% of the purchase price. And that includes things like legal fees, inspections, and taxes. Okay, and everybody has to contribute to those closing costs when you're buying a house. Those are all of our one-time costs. Then there's the monthly costs that continue every month when you buy a house. So let's take a look at those monthly costs. So we have our mortgage payment that we've talked about. There's also insurance. So for insurance, if you don't have a down payment of at least 20%, you actually have to pay an extra amount of insurance, and it's CHMC insurance. And so people try and get that at least 20%. We also have homeowners insurance, which is about $100 a month. Then we have property tax. Everybody pays property tax, and it's about less than 1% of your purchase price per year. And I get a statement every year. This is how much your property tax is going to be for the year. Typically, it goes up a little bit every year. And it depends on the costs of homes in your neighborhood and things like that, and the things that you have for your home in your neighborhood. Then we have utilities, and that includes water and gas and electricity. So, all of those things we have to pay for on a monthly basis. And then in general, we have maintenance fees as well. So, maintenance fees we can estimate to be about $500 a month, or sometimes people estimate about 1% of the purchase price per year. And that can be maintaining your roof, maintaining your sewer, other things that are going on in and around your house. We're going to go through an example of some of the costs when buying a house. So, in this example, we're going to assume that we've purchased a home similar to the average value of a home in our community. So, let's just go ahead and use $1 million. I know it was 1.2 million, but let's just keep it at a straight $1 million for a house that's in our neighborhood. We're going to assume that we have made a 25% down payment, and we are looking at a 25-year mortgage with 2% and a 5-year fixed term rate. So that just means that after 5 years, we could renegotiate our mortgage with the bank or the lender, whomever we got the mortgage from. So now we're going to go through and calculate all of those additional costs. So the first one is our down payment. And as we know, our down payment is just a one-time cost, and we have decided for this example that it's 25%. So we're going to take that $1 million and we're going to multiply it by 0.25 to give me that 25% amount. And so our down payment is going to be $250,000. Okay, our next additional costs will be our closing costs. And that is also a one-time cost. And an estimate of that is 2% of the purchase price. So we're going to have that $1 million times 0.02, and that gives me 2%, and that is $20,000 to be able to purchase that house. Okay, next up we have our mortgage payment. Okay, so our mortgage payment, this is an ongoing cost, and we're going to have to figure this one out. So the first thing we need to do is find our principal. This is a C, not an E. So principal, and we know that that is equal to that $1 million price tag minus our down payment. And so our principal amount that we're going to have to pay off is $750,000. So now I need to find my monthly cost. Okay, so up here in the question, it says that we have a 25-year mortgage at 2%. So I'm going to go ahead and use my chart. So the first thing I need to do, however, is divide this by 1,000 because we know it's per $1,000. So I would have 700, whoops, let me get back to my pen. I would have 750 times, and I'm going to find that place, that 25-year mortgage at 2%. So 2%, 25-year mortgage is 4.235. So I'm going to multiply this by 4.235, and this is going to give me my mortgage payment. And my mortgage payment is going to be, let me change the color, $3,176.25. And of course, that's per month. Okay, so monthly. Okay. Next up, we have insurance. And we are going to, this is going to be an ongoing cost. We're going to use the estimation that was in our last sheet. We're going to say it's about, I'll write it in blue, $100 per month. And next, just going to move this up a little bit. We have our property tax. And our property tax is our purchase price. So this is also an ongoing cost. And that is going to be, so $1 million and times 1%. So times 0.01 to give me that 1%. And this will give us our annual property tax price, which is $10,000. And then we're going to divide that by 12 to get the monthly cost. Okay, so that divided by 12 will give me $833.33 per month. Okay, for property taxes. And next we have utilities. And that, of course, is monthly, and we're just going to estimate this at about $400 a month. Again, it depends. You know, in the winter months, we tend to use more gas sometimes to heat our homes. It depends on your usage, but we'll estimate that. And then we'll do our last one, which is maintenance. And this is also monthly, and we'll estimate this to be about $500 a month. Okay, so now let's go ahead and answer the following questions together. So we're going to calculate the total upfront one-time costs. Okay, so our upfront one-time costs would include the down payment and the closing costs. So if we have 250,000 and we have the 20,000, then we're going to have the 270,000. Okay, so I have 250,000 plus 20,000 in my closing costs is 270,000. Okay, and then let's calculate the total monthly costs that we have here. So we have, let me see if I can see them all. So we have our mortgage payment, which is 3,176.25, plus our insurance, which is $100 a month, plus our property tax, which is $833.33, plus our utilities, which is 400, and plus our maintenance, which is 500. So we're going to add all that up together, which is, let me get a little bit more room here, If I did my math right on my calculator, $5,009.58. So now let's talk about the annual costs. Our monthly costs were 5,009, so $5,009.58 per month. And so if we wanted to take a look at that annually, we would need to multiply this by 12. Okay, and so our annual cost would then be $60,114.96 per year. Now let's talk about just the mortgage part. Okay, if we wanted to take a look at our mortgage, we know that we pay $3,176.25 per month. And so we would multiply that by 12 to find out how much we pay in our mortgage per year. So that ends up being $38,115 a year. Okay. So let's assume the mortgage rate never changes. How much are we going to end up paying? Now remember, we are going to have this mortgage for 25 years. Okay. So if I have $38,115 per year, I'm going to multiply that by the 25 years. And so that is going to give me, let me just do that really quickly, 38,115 times 25. So $952,875. Okay. And this is over 25 years. So in total, that's how much I'm paying. Okay. So that's my total amount that I'm paying over 25 years. So the next question, and the question that people are really interested in, is how much interest did I pay? Well, I want you to remember way back at the beginning how much my mortgage actually was. So my mortgage was actually, remember, $750. That's how much my loan was from the bank or from the lender, right? But I ended up paying $952,000. So I'm going to take that $952,875 and I'm going to subtract that $750,000. Okay. So this is again how much I end up paying. This is what my mortgage amount was. And so the difference between those is how much interest I actually ended up paying. And remember, interest is that extra money that I'm paying to the bank or to the lender for lending me the money in the first place. So the difference here is $202,875. So this is our interest. Okay, and that's how much interest will be paid over 25 years for lending or for borrowing $750. So now you're going to have some opportunities to practice. I am going to get you started with the practice work unless you feel pretty confident with all of the math here. So you can move on to the video that goes over the first couple things in the practice questions. But if you want to do it on your own, that's fine. And then the solutions will be posted.